Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nick Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today, we have the pleasure of being joined by Stephanie Byerly. Stephanie is an anesthesiologist and a coach for women leadership and empowerment. Stephanie, can you give our listeners a little more detail about what it is you do and kind of some of the things you do on your day-to-day?
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited to be here. Thank you. I am an anesthesiologist. I take care of a lot of women patients who are, having babies, but sort of do everything as far as anesthesiology. I was at an academic medical center for 25 years, so was a professor, did it all, wrote papers, did all the things, and decided that I wanted to become a coach. And I started out as a life coach, and then it incorporated women-centered coaching, feminist coaching, and then trauma-informed coaching. And so I combine all those things into like a secret sauce for my clients. Also a keynote speaker, doing a TEDx talk about becoming unnumb in July in LA, and a thought leader. Awesome. So excited about all the things I'm doing, and really hoping to really foster transformation for women.
That's awesome. And what a great niche to come and help women that have that need. So there's, I'm sure, a lot of competition in coaching and just getting out there where you're known and can, or people can find you so you can help them. What is something that helps set you apart from others that might be doing something similar, or kind of in the noise of everything, that you step out and are different?
So women have to be coached in a special way, very different than men. So there's something called women-centered coaching, which I'm in my third year actually with Dr. Claire Zammit, and she clearly outlined that there's a step-by-step pathway for women for coaching that's very different than men. So for men, it's very much, what's your goal? Let's be very strategic and linear about getting there. This is what we need to do to get there. For women, it's a whole shift in their identity and really understanding that our brains are very different, and that we live in this invisible operating system called the achiever operating system. And we can't understand why, as high achieving women, now that we've conquered, achieved, we've done it all, like everything we set out to do. And now we're walking around feeling barely alive. We're like, how did I get here? Like I worked so hard and I look perfect on the outside. So I have this mask of perfection, and inside my soul is screaming, is this it? There has to be more. So it's really helping women understand that we've conquered and achieved, but we're at the end of what this achiever operating system can offer us, and we have to evolve our identity into a new way of looking at life with a lot of power and possibility, which is very different from the way normal coaching goes. And so it's really having women understand all these things that are playing in our subconscious basically 24/7, that are ruling the show that we don't even know. So it's making the invisible visible, and then deciding, what's my new story? How am I going to create this new life? Because for women, it's very different again, because we're changing at the level of identity. So we're not just changing our mindset. We have to change the level of identity and actually the behaviors that we do, having intentional thoughts, just really focusing on changing who we are and who we want to become. So we are becoming from a place of power and possibility, and not shame and shrinking into, something must be wrong with me because I've done it all and I'm so disconnected and numb. It must be me.
Interesting. Yeah, and it's great just to talk about changing their mindset. It's got to be how, what's something that, as you've gone along this path, have you had your big aha moments in learning these things?
Yes. So there's these 21 patterns that women live in. One of them is the I'm too much pattern. And I've always lived in that pattern. And so the labels that I was given, you're too much woman, hear me roar, you're too aggressive, your tone, you're too pushy, you're this, because women get judged very differently. There's something called the power penalty and the likability clause for women who step into more masculine roles, in usually leadership roles. And so we internalize those labels. And so what's running in the background is you're too much. Like, so you go into a situation and you're scanning about how much of yourself you can actually show because you know you're going to be criticized. So you're living in a
Gotcha.
box. You want to express all your gifts and talents. So when I started understanding that, it was like this weight had been lifted off my shoulders that I'm starting to understand this is really deep. This isn't just you're too much, change how you're showing up. I'm
Hmm.
showing up in this way for a reason, and maybe the situations that I'm in are not big enough for me to express my gifts and talents, right? So it's really understanding the waters you're swimming in. That was like the biggest aha moment, and to realize I can get control of this really quickly. And when you're able to see that level of shifting, then it snowballs, and you more and more you feel very empowered because you see the benefits of the changes that you're making.
Awesome. What a great journey, and what that you're able to understand that and know it and be able to help other women and touch other people's lives, that not only that single person but probably circles around them too,
Yeah.
that are have positive repercussions from that person having a better, just their life going better. The people
Hmm.
closest and their close circles are going to benefit also. So that's awesome.
Yes, absolutely. As you mentioned, the ripple effect. And when women become empowered, they uplift other women. And so it is just it is we need women really to be able to step up in this new way and understand this because the planet needs us, and needs some of the way that we look at things and lead in order
Sure.
to start changing what's happening on our planet.
No, no, good stuff. So, as somebody, one of our if somebody's listening to us and wants to learn, maybe take first steps in moving towards that direction, do you have anything that you can recommend for them, maybe to read or to listen to start kind of understanding some of these ideas?
Yes, they can go on to my website, which is www.stephaniebyerly.com, and I have some lead magnets, some free gifts that they can start looking at, which are very, very inclusive. They can just download that, and it gives them so much information. And if they wanted to schedule a breakthrough call to meet with me just to talk about that, been on several podcasts that explain this also that are also on my website, or they can just search my name for podcasts. And I'm on social media always talking about this. I'm about to hold 4 complimentary master classes in April, all based on this. And they can just go to my social, which is all at Stephanie Byerly MD for LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. And I've actually been advertising this master class. So I'm really excited about it. It's lifting the veil of this invisible operating system so that women can become unapologetically themselves with power and purpose and passion.
What it sounds like things are going great in your W or your medical career and then the coaching
Mhm.
career. What's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your path?
I would say a lifetime of trauma, and I did not understand how my trauma was affecting me early on. And about I guess it was 2001 when I was going through a very, very contentious divorce. After being in a very difficult relationship, I started realizing how my trauma from my childhood on, from the time I was born till basically throughout my whole life up to that point, I didn't understand that my trauma had become embodied in my nervous system. And the
Mm,
way that I was showing up every day in fight or flight was based on how my nervous system had basically decided by the time I was 7 how safe I was. And this is for all humans. And so we show up in trauma responses. And like for me, I felt numb. I couldn't feel anything, but I was anxious. And I made the people around me feel anxious. And so one of the biggest challenges was really starting to understand that my trauma was not what happened to me, but it was what happened inside of me because of what happened to me. And that when I started really looking at the effects of the trauma, my life started to shift. Everything shifted. Like my life was completely different. And I was on that journey for a very long time. This is way before we started understanding trauma. And so now the great part is there's so much understanding. And there's so many ways to work with it that all of what took me 20 years can be compressed into a year or two when people really start to understand it
Mm-hmm.
and realize they're not broken and that there's really no other way that they could be showing up until they understand this. So again, it's really understand what's going on in your brain, why you show up and you may be reacting to things in a very exaggerated way for what the situation is. And a lot of that is that you're in a trauma response and you don't even know because your body feels unsafe, but you don't understand what's happening.
Gotcha. It's just something that happened so long ago and it's become normal, the normal pattern of
Right.
reaction or feeling. So
Yes.
you just, like you said, numb or it's just there. Yeah,
That,
that's great that you've been able to overcome it. Now you're able to help
mhm,
others kind of walk
mhm.
that path and do it in a faster time, compress
Yes.
it. Well,
Yes.
and it sounds like work is going well, your coaching's going well, and as a lot of people start having more success, they start considering other forms of potential income or anything. Have you ever had any thoughts, or are you involved in any alternative investments or
I
um,
do. Yep. I do a lot of alternative investments and I'm fortunate to have worked with some wonderful people who have had my best interest at heart. But I think I would say, for women, we have a lot of barriers about money because
mhm.
we've been socialized to believe we're not good with money, we're not good with investments, we're not good with savings when it's actually the complete opposite. So when I started becoming empowered and really believing in myself and my self-worth, that's when I started branching out more to do these investments.
Awesome. Great stuff. Yeah, I think it's important to have those multiple streams of income
Mm,
coming in. So it's, a lot of people as you start getting a little older, more successful, you may want to have those so you can start ramping down your actual
yes,
where the income's coming from, where you have more passive coming in other areas. So
absolutely.
that's awesome. What
Absolutely.
that sounds like things are going really well for you and your business. So a lot of
Thank you.
people, at that point, a second. What as we're wrapping up the interview, what exciting plans or initiatives do you have in the works?
Okay. I am so excited because on July 26th of this year, I'm going to be a TEDx speaker at
That's awesome.
TEDx Larchmont Village, and it's going to be held at UCLA. And there's going to be 50 of us. It's called the Transformational Talks, and I got asked to do one of the longer talks, a 12-minute talk. So I am I'm just ecstatic about that. And I'm launching my group coaching collective in May, which is also exciting. And I'll be starting a podcast in September called the Unnumb Method. And just really moving now into the third act, really looking at what I want to spend the rest of my life doing. I love being an anesthesiologist, but I meet somebody one time, I take care of them at a very critical time in their life. And I want to be able to work with people and have lasting impact for people in every area of their life. And so I'm really excited. Everything in my life happened the way it was exactly supposed to be able to, get me to this point and me to be
Sure.
able to have the life experiences and all my training to be able to guide people through transformations that are lifelong, more quickly than my 2 decades.
Well, and that's a great perspective. And I've heard maybe it's Ed Milet or somebody I've heard speak saying things happen for you, not to you.
Hmm.
And if you can
Yes.
understand that, it makes think because negative things are going to happen at different levels to different people and
Hmm.
in different, in my views, and nobody can avoid trauma.
Right.
Maybe it may be small, maybe big, but
Yep.
if you can, it's how you handle it, and do you kind of that failing forward or the people that get knocked down 10 times, do you get up 10 times? And that's to
Yeah.
try to instill that in our children, like, hey, you're going to have challenges and we want you to have challenges because we want you to not always be in a safe bubble, but it's getting up and learning from it and not, if you fail a
Absolutely.
math test, or, this is very simple and not traumatic, but go back and look and see why. Even my daughter that's in college, I'm like, go talk to your professor when you've had a bad test, and because
Hmm.
went to a very small private school and they really knew. Now she's at a major university. I'm like, go
Yeah.
get to know the person. Very least, at least he knows you cares. But at best, he'll help you understand why you miss the certain questions, and you can grow, and your education will be better from that also.
Well, and the interesting thing is that when we look at how women are socialized and raised and things like this, we actually have been traumatized and we shrink. So we stay in our bubble and we are afraid to ask for help because we feel like we should just know everything, because it isn't safe for women to fail. The way that women have always gotten their power prior to really becoming, CEOs and physicians and all the things we do was by making sure we were perfect for other people, and that we always anticipated their needs, and that we were never going to be judged harshly because we weren't perfect. So we still live in that cage, and that's what I'm really passionate about, helping women understand. And when you start to understand, you're making every single decision based on that, and it can be different, then you start going, you know what? Like, yeah, of course I'm going to ask for help. Like, that's why there's tutors, right? Like, I'm not supposed to know everything, rather than if I ask for help, I'm a failure and I'm going to be judged so harshly. So it's so interesting when you start to understand this, and it frees women. It frees them from this invisible cage.
Definitely. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing tips and insights. If our listeners would like to connect with you, I know you gave some of your contacts earlier. Would you like to share those again now?
Sure. I have a website at www.stephaniebyerly.com, and all my social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook is at Stephanie Byerly MD. And I would love to chat with people and take a look at the flyer and sign up link for the master classes and the lead magnet on my website, and be great to chat.
Awesome. I encourage you to look at our website. I looked before we got on. So it looks like a lot of great information and resources there. So definitely go check it out. And everyone, thank you for listening. Thanks for joining us today, Stephanie. It was great to get to visit with you and learn more about what you're doing. And I wish you all the success in the world.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.